much a pleasure to talk to the both of you. It was great to see this film as a parent. I have a 3-year-old, and seeing I didn't grow up watching him, and seeing how he educated children in such a subtle way was really remarkable, I thought. Do you agree? And was that what you wanted to portray the best?
Well, yeah, we wanted to. If you don't know Mr. Rogers, like Americans know Mr. Rogers, there is the technique we had, which was his, which is let the child on the other side of the TV screen talk back to him. So when he says, "It's nice to see you today," he gives the child who was watching at home the chance to say, "Well, it's good to be here, Mr. Rogers." And so it's a bit of a call and response that is unique to children's television.
True. And through your character, we also find out that, this is, and through the article as well, that this is not about Fred Rogers as much as it is about reflecting upon yourself. Do you agree?
Absolutely. It's I think you experience things twofold. You get to experience Mr. Rogers and who he was through the eyes of someone who goes through some very universal problems that a number of us can relate to.
Because he was so unabashedly loved, is it daunting to take him on because, you want to make sure that you pay tribute to him with no fault?
Well, I didn't want to... Nobody. Mari, our boss, our director, she was not interested in an imitation of him. And he's so well known in the United States that you put on a sweater and you talk in sort of a sing-songy voice, and it becomes a joke. It becomes something for late-night comedians. She was looking for, the challenge was to interpret him so that he comes off as a regular human being and not some sort of mythic saint-like figure, but just a guy who's asking sincere questions.
Because that article was one moment in time in his career and his life, how much did you work on your chemistry, and what was the main source of inspiration to take on both men?
Well, in the same vein, Mari told me I wasn't impersonating Tom Juno. The part wasn't, he's not named Tom Juno in the movie. So there's a liberty and a freedom in that. I was interested in Tom's Juno's story as to the time he spent with Fred Rogers, and there were certain elements that I kind of stole. But I didn't feel obligated. I think we were just. I think the work came in finding out where these moments lay in between these two men.
There must be a lot of information about how he dealt with people, though, right?
Well, it's legendary that he took his work so seriously. He was not a children's television host, TV show host. His show was bent on taking kids and rather than selling them something or teaching them something, but just helping by behavior become fully rounded human beings with feelings that are worthy of sharing. The relationship between the two of us is kind of like built in that adversarial interview thing that goes on. I'm here to ask you questions. And it's true that even Tom, the journalist that it was based on, said Fred Rogers was a master at boomeranging questions around him back to you. And part of that was a self-defense mechanism, I think, because he was in professional showbiz to a degree, but also it did come from his sense of ministry. I'm not going to learn anything talking about myself, but I will learn by listening to what you have to say. And that was, I think it's probably the way he approached his place in the world.
Agreed, and love it. I wasn't aware of it.
Really?
Yeah, I really love it. How much does award attention mean to you for yourself and for the film?
Well, it always reflected by the movie. I'm, something. If you look at that, I think the poster alone says, "Oh, there's a guy in a red sweater," and then you notice everything else that's in it. Oh, there's also a fellow with a brown coat. I forgot about that. So there was an innate thing doing it because of who Mr. Rogers is. The most important thing is we were all making the same movie. And we were all following the dictates of a rather uncompromising and ironclad director whose no really did mean no, and whose challenges were really specific. I'm just glad that anything has happened here so that more people will see a movie that I think the best thing that I've ever heard about it is they were expecting something much more standard. And they ended up getting something much more profound because of the relationship with Fred and Lloyd.
Thanks ever so much. She's rubbing me
There
up,
you
but
go.
it's too short.
Get out.
Yes,
We've got no more time.
Insure.